Heads up, it's time to catch another edition of the Sports Ball Moment with Eddie Winters and Barry the Stallion Streib.
Oh, yes. This is Eddie Winters. We got Barry the Stallion on the line. Barry, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. It's a big ball, I can tell you that.
Welcome to the program, baby. This is. You know what? We are excited. The football season has officially begun. The Orioles leading the way to, I hope, the playoffs and maybe, I believe, a strong chance in the World Series. Barry, we've got tons of questions. But first off, how are you doing down in St. Petersburg, Florida?
Well, it's a little cloudy today, but I'm analyzing the first week of football with a lot of crazy things that are happening. And some of the things that I saw last year, and especially in preseason, why you need preseason. Some of these teams are not doing anything in preseason, and it's showing a lot of rust. And the Ravens are one of the examples of one of the teams that came out a little flat. I mean, worst half of football I have ever seen the Ravens play in the history of mankind.
Is that?
And they almost came back and won. And the thing is, the reason they lost is because of the Darius Webb not being at the quarterback to cover the big receivers. We have Chucky Brown sit back there. Never let a guy get behind you. The Darius Webb was supposed to be played. He felt good, and they scratched him. So it was a game time decision that you can't analyze. So. We should have won that game.
That brings us to a first question from a listener, Gary from Dundalk. He wanted to know, can Brown fill Webb's shoes?
Well, no, he can't hold his shoes. Darius Webb was one of the top shutdown corners out there. So he's, and that's really going to hurt us if he's coming back. But I think he's going to come back next week. So it looks like he's going to be probable. He wanted to play, but there was a last-second scratch, and that cost him the game.
Right. So, you know what? Yesterday, it was, it gave people heart attacks watching the Ravens play. Terry from Hunt Valley wanted to know, how come every time Joe Flacco throws, it's either the most amazing pass you've ever seen or he gets sacked? What does Flacco still have it in him for this season?
Yeah, Flacco has it in the season. He throws probably the best long ball in football. The problem is the coaching staff. The coaching staff is still unreliable in their play calling situation. Since they won that Super Bowl and they got rid of Cam Cameron, they're still on a bad. You don't put a quarterback back there knowing that they're going to blitz without a back there to offset the run. He could be running the draw, and he's in an empty backfield, and they just blitz one more guy and they get to him. They can't have time to get there vertically downfield. So it's a bad decision on putting him back there by himself because he's immobile. You have to get rid of the ball in like 2 seconds, and at the end of the first half, he ran the clock out with 8 seconds to go when he's supposed to kick a field goal. And he said it was the worst decision of his life, and that was the second worst decision of his life. I remember knowing it. But he'll be fine. He'll be fine. They'll win this, or they'll win Thursday night against Pittsburgh. They're going to rally, baby.
Yes. Well, that brings us to our last question from Ocean City, Maryland. Tyler writes, Stallion, can you look in your crystal ball and see what the Ravens losing to the Bengals really means for our chances on Thursday?
Now, Pittsburgh beat them last year at the end of the year when they were 6-2 coming down the stretch. Pittsburgh, we can beat them if we have our defense. What I said earlier in the season, it's going to depend on our secondary, and we're fitted secondary, and we got to avoid injuries for us to go a long way. But I think we have enough ability with this new running back. Bernard Pierce didn't cut it for a set, was running right up the middle, showed some speed. So depends on how we run the ball, and I think their offensive line did pretty good. They got rid of the ball, and he threw an 80-yard touchdown pass to Steve Smith. They had 5 drops in that game, and Steve Smith dropped 4 of them. So they'll be right. It's first week. You got to get on the same page. But
and shake off that dust.
Buffalo on the grass and see Miami kicking the New England's butt. And it's a long way to go, baby.
Baby, it is. It is just heating up, just starting. And let's switch gears. Let's Tokyo drift into the Baltimore Orioles. By the way, they just were in Tampa, and I believe sealed Tampa's fate. And that brings us to our next question. Marie writes, now that the Tampa Rays are out of the running, do you have anything planned for all that extra free time?
No, they have a lot of things planned, but I'm worried about the Orioles. They get a 9-10 game lead. They're going to be a lock. They're going to face one of the teams, and they're all fighting the wild card. And one thing you don't want to do is, if you're in that wild card, that second wild card spot, you don't want to face King Felix in a one-game situation. So that remains to be seen. I think there's a couple teams that we don't match up good against. One is Detroit, and the other one would be, since they're coming back, is Anaheim, and we played them in one-run ball games. We've had the series lead on them, but that's going to be a tough series. But they got to face Oakland or somebody here in Detroit, so it's going to be, and in a short series, anything can happen. It's only a 5-game series, so you just got to maintain and can take them to the promised land.
Right, baby. That's, you know what? And one last question. Stephanie from Towson, Maryland wants to know, do you think the Orioles' inevitable trip to the playoffs and, of course, hopefully to the World Series, do you think that had anything to do with Derek Jeter announcing his retirement?
Absolutely not. Derek Jeter, he can still play again as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's still, some of these quarterbacks are 38, 37 years old. He's 40 years old. But I think he's still a little bit, I think his ankle's bothering him a little bit now. So I think he's going out on the right note. And the one person always said to me, he goes, well, what do you think about a Derek Jeter being a Yankee? And they asked the whole country, but you couldn't be a Yankee fan. What do you think of Derek Jeter? And one guy said, he's the only one that they can tolerate.
That's it.
He's the only Yankee I can ever tolerate. I hate them all.
There it is. Well, Stallion, I gotta say, you know what? I every week we look forward to your guidance and your knowledge for and we want to basically we are sticking with you, because if there's one person to stick with, it's got to be the Stallion.
You stick to you gotta stick to the whole program, and I'll take you to the promised land. I got a little hoggy-woggy this weekend, but my 4 stars bailed me out, so it was basically a wash weekend. Denver letting an artificial surface team come back on them like that. They're not as good as they were last year. New England and Denver are supposed to be in the favorites to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC, and I think it's wide open, so anything can happen.
I love it. Stallion, you know what? I can't thank you enough for coming on the program and sharing your knowledge. You know what? I hope you stay warm down in St. Pete Beach. We want to come down sometime and maybe take a drive in the Miata down to the Brass Monkey on the beach there and watch a game with you, baby.
Oh, there's no question about it. Now, listen, if the San Francisco Giants and the Baltimore Orioles are in the World Series, fly me out, baby. I'm coming.
Oh, yes, we'll get you in the studio. I love it. Thank you so much, Barry. It's such a pleasure, as always. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you, baby. Stick to the program, baby.
You got it. There he is, Barry the Stallion Streib.